It's very close to kick-off between the Springboks and the All Blacks at Ellis Park. Now, the famous ground is hosting the Rugby Championship match, with both teams getting used to new eras. Newzroom Afrika's Yolulwe Qoshe is at the stadium and joins us live now. Yolulwe, it's just under 10 minutes before kick-off. Does the atmosphere reflect that ticking time?
A very good afternoon to you again, Gwen, as well as to the viewers at home. Absolutely. It is raucous in terms of the atmosphere, a sea of green and gold. The locals have come out to support their heroes in the hope that they will be able to replicate their last two results against the All Blacks. Today, playing in a stadium where the All Blacks have usually had the upper hand. But in terms of the All Blacks of this season, it hasn't always been that smooth sailing. And that's why I'm joined now by Finn Morton, who comes from Australia, born in New Zealand, however. Finn, thank you so much for your time. Let me start by saying hard luck for those back-to-back victories down under. But we'll talk about the neighbours for today. The New Zealanders, Scott Robertson, a lot been made about his tenure, a big reputation at franchise level for the Crusaders. Bit of a bumpy road, hasn't really been smooth sailing at All Black level though. Does it need a bit of time, or is it a reality check for him?
Scott Robertson, he was the man everyone wanted, I think, in New Zealand as a successor to Ian Foster. He was announced last March, so well before the Rugby World Cup. But like you said, it hasn't been smooth sailing as of yet. 5 test matches so far, soon to be 6, and they've lost one of those games. And the 2 wins over England as well, not necessarily convincing, but let's give it time. Razor's a very good coach. He's won 7 Super Rugby titles in as many years, and success seems to follow the guys. So I think if All Blacks fans can give Razor a bit of patience, then success will come, hopefully, and maybe that starts today.
And what do you make of Leon McDonald leaving the team just before they came to South African shores? There was a bit of a conversation, also stuff being aired out saying that they didn't really see eye to eye at, franchise level, but they're going to make it work, or at least try to find a middle ground with the All Blacks. What do you make of that split? Was it just 2 different philosophies and 2 stubborn rugby heads?
Yeah, I think from what we understand, it was different philosophies or different approaches. But if we go back to when the assistant coaches and Scott Robertson's coaching staff was announced, there were a lot of assistant coaches. It's very almost un-All Blacks, almost un-rugby to see so many blokes called in as coaches. Too many chefs in the kitchen, you might want to say. So it was a shock to see Liam McDonald part ways with the All Blacks just before this 2 test series against the Springboks here in South Africa. But it could be a good thing for the All Blacks moving forward. Scott Barrett, the All Blacks captain, said the team are moving forward without Leon, and the coaches are taking on extra responsibilities, and by all accounts it's going to plan. So whether that leads to more success moving forward remains to be seen, but it definitely was a shock.
You mentioned Scott Barrett, the captain. They got off their Rugby Championship campaign without him, having been injured in that series win against England earlier in the international season. What do you think went wrong in that first game against the Argentines? Was it a bit of complacency there? Because obviously in the second game they came out trumps and they really showed what they are capable of as All Blacks.
It was a shock result. I think everyone was stunned by that result. That's not downplaying the threat that the Pumas offer on the rugby field, but the All Blacks definitely expected to win that test. I think they just weren't at their best, and Argentina were, and that's why they won that night. But Scott Barrett back in the fold for this match. He is such a leader, such a force for this team, and with Sam Cane coming into the starting 15 as well. This definitely looks like more of an All Blacks A team, and they'll need to be at their best and bring their A game if they're going to be a chance tonight.
You mentioned Sam Cane, much maligned also from one set of All Black fans to the other. He comes in experienced head, especially in an atmosphere that he will know very well at Ellis Park. So that's a calm head in these type of conditions. You've also got Ardie Savea, who's going to be at the back of that scrum. When you look at those 2 players, that shows that they are very, very cognizant of the fact that it could go down to a game at the breakdown. They're very adept to playing the ball on the ground. South Africans haven't really looked like the team that's going to target that area. Is that a way or an area that the All Blacks can, capitalize on the Springboks?
Potentially. It's quite rare or unusual, I guess, to say that about the Springboks, but experience, like you said, is absolutely so important for this All Blacks team today. Scott Robertson mentioned that at the team announcement press conference on Thursday. Guys like Ardie Savea, Sam Cane, TJ Perenara, guys who have been there in the trenches before here at Ellis Park and know what it takes to win here as well. So those guys are going to have to, lead the young guys around the park, with their very best, because there are guys here who haven't been to the stadium before coming on the bus here today. There was no captains around here for the All Blacks yesterday, so guys like Sam Darry and a few others on the bench have not been to Ellis Park before walking out on the pitch here for warm-up. So those experienced guys are very important.
Mention some of those guys on the bench. The Springboks, well famed for their bomb squad, a couple of experienced campaigners and World Cup winners there. But in the ranks of the New Zealanders, if you look beside the facts, the players such as the Fletcher Newells, the Tungafasis, the Mark Teleas, a couple of names that are not too prominent and won't be known by too many South African fans. What can you tell us about some of the threads that exist on that bench? Because we don't even play in the Super Rugby anymore, we're playing in the North, so some of these names are very unfamiliar, but the coaching staff, obviously, for South Africans would have known what to expect. But for the normal South African rugby supporter who does not know where the threat might come from the bench, what can you tell us about some of those new boys on that bench, or the fresh test caps?
I think Rassie definitely would have done his homework, and you mentioned the bomb squad as well for the Springboks. Eben Etzebeth, he's there. So this bench will be so important, and there's young guys there, like you said, who South Africans might not be completely aware of because they play in the URC now, but guys like Fletcher Newell, I think he's one of the strongest guys in New Zealand rugby. The bloke can bench press and squat more than I could ever dream to do. Ofa Tuangafasi, I wouldn't say he's a young player, he's experienced, that's important as well. Asafa Almua completing the bench for the front row, powerful, dangerous guy. A guy that you don't want to look up and see running at you, because you're in some strife there. And then guys like Mark Telea as well. He won World Rugby's Breakthrough Player of the Year last year because he can't be stopped. You know, when he gets going, he's so slippery. He's like a slippery fish. When he gets going and he gets pretty confident, he is tough to stop. So, and we saw that last year at the Rugby World Cup, and glimpses of it as well in that Rugby World Cup final, which didn't go the All Blacks' way.
Mention Mark Telea is half South African. Hopefully you'll remember that on the field and go easy on us once it goes on. Speaking of South Africa, I hope you enjoy your experience. Also going out to Cape Town. Thank you so much for your time, Finn. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Cheers.
Well, that was Finn Morton off the rugby pass. Born in New Zealand, lives in Australia. Just speaking about the threats that we can expect from New Zealand in a crunch Rugby Championship encounter here at Ellis Park Stadium this evening. Back to you, Studio. When?